SEC football. It just means more. Now back to your favorite bearded duo, Todd and Marty.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Under Review Podcast, episode 47. We are live, and if the dummies in the top left screen or right screen do not shut up so we can get to the intro, we'll be all right.
It happens.
But like I always said, I am your host, Todd. Alongside me is my co-host, Marty. And then part of the creative team is also here to go down a stellar list we have going on with you. We have Cody, we have Brandon, and we also have Jud here, and we also have Major Duckworth with Brandon here to go along with us. Thank you again, Major, for joining us.
Did we get that?
Get what?
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
No, we're good now. I just shared the live on Facebook.
Okay, I just shared it. Hey, y'all like dot?
Dot. Yep, we got dots. We're ready to roll this time.
All right, Jud, you ready?
I'm ready.
Take two.
This episode of the Under Review Podcast is brought to you by Chuck's Heating and Air. Chuck has over 40 years of service with residential most makes and models. He is licensed, bonded, and insured, and he'll also fix what your husband or significant other broke. Are you hot and you're supposed to be cool? Are you cool and you're supposed to be hot? Then you've got a problem. Call Chuck. Area code 256-892-2757. Again, that's 256-892-2757. Chuck's Heating and Air.
Thank you, John. I just feel like it's better. It's so much better live than it is on the recording.
Well, I appreciate that.
Well,
that face for radio.
That's right.
But like I said, 256-892-2757. Just called Chuck. Had him out to the house the other day. Fixed my heat problem, so I got everything rolling up here. Finally, after been in the house since July, and it's about winter's over. So yeah, about right timing.
Didn't your pipes bust too?
No, they didn't. They just froze.
What?
Close, but no cigar.
How do you
have a foot of snow on the ground?
Right. Records for y'all, wasn't it?
It's miserable.
That was last week, Brandon. Let's cry about something.
Hey, depends on how you lay your weeks out.
It's just... Mark, what's the next slide you got for us?
Next slide. Boom. Jud, read that one.
This episode of the Under Review Podcast is clearly the opinion of the crew. There was a lot of time and effort that went into this. Whether it may be right or wrong, that is for us to decide. And if you don't like it, get your own podcast. Parental advisory is suggested.
I appreciate the parental advisory.
Yeah, just in case.
That usually happens to some people that have friends named Bobby and whatnot.
Hey, Bobby's in jail.
Well, he deserved it to be.
Yeah.
How do y'all like this screen, first of all?
How
Like I'm sitting
did
in
it
the
get
Oval
two
Office.
beers in my hand is what I want to know.
So the caption I put in there was "man drinking a beer," and so it double fisted you.
Well, actually, I think from the picture you got it from, the other person was holding the beverage, and it just looked like he's two-fisting it.
Well, no, it was also in the caption I put, because I put on Jud, I said, guy cheering for the home team, and it spells home with an I.
And team with a...
with an M.
Well, you
No,
should
home team.
Home team?
And I got a 93 model thin line beard, knowing I can't grow one.
Yeah, y'all can't. The beard game is solely won by myself.
Bareface.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, but you got that squared off jaw. I mean, look at me. If you paint 3 black dots on the top of my head, I'd be a bowling ball.
You're the only one that didn't get screwed up. So, at least I put a hat over my head.
Yeah, I couldn't find one with a hat, so I'm sorry.
I don't know. You did get a pullover and lost your gut there, Brandon.
I'm starting to lose it in person, so.
There you go.
Well, let's, Marty?
Just making sure that Facebook Live is doing something. So, all right, Brandon, you want to take this one?
Sure. Everybody, this is Major Duckworth. He is my father-in-law, retired United States Army Major, military science professor at UWF, was a senior Army instructor at Tate High School, just retired from that. He also invented the sport of mega ball. He is a contributor author to Finding the Right Colleges and Money to Pay for It. And he is also potentially partially responsible for the end of red lobsters and the shrimp.
Understand that one, though. I mean,
you can't go wrong with endless shrimp.
I will
Well,
quote the great Forrest Gump here. It happens.
I would like to say thank you for your service, Major Duckworth.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Thanks for the support, guys. We appreciate it.
Major, quick question. What was it? Marty, go back real quick.
Oh, well.
What is the sports mega ball, if you don't mind me asking?
Yep, we got to hear about this.
Yeah. Well, the sport of mega ball was something that we invented for high school students that were junior ROTC students. And it was designed to enable them to be able to play a varsity sport that would allow them to put down that they were playing sports on scholarship applications with the military. Because a lot of the JRTC units, they don't get any credit for athletics because they don't consider some of the things that typical JRTC units do as athletics. So we started this sport with a 6-foot ball. It's kind of a mixture between rugby, football, and soccer. It's if you go on to Tate High School Mega Ball Tournament sometime on Google and Google it, you'll see them playing it. It's a very rough sport. And the schools in North Florida and South Alabama that decided they were going to play it, they started doing it, and it really worked out well. And it's been great for all the students to be able to put down on their scholarship applications that they're playing a varsity sport in high school.
That sounds awesome.
That sounds awesome.
And I'm glad something like that came up for the JRTC kids, because, like you said, there's not a lot of opportunities for them in that category once they have to fill that application off on their resume or something like that. So it gives them another thing to filler right there, little spot to put on down.
So if anybody wants to go back to college,
Hey,
yeah.
Well, I tried.
I don't know. Most of us are starting to get over 40. I think we could do the over 40 Mega Ball League.
there you go.
We did talk about kickball a couple weeks ago.
we did.
If you see this ball, you'll definitely want to play with it just to test it out, if nothing else.
Nice. If we see the balls, we'll play with them. Yep, there it went. Straight in the gut. And now, because of Major Duckworth, we can't have nice things.
Well, they can, but we can't. Well, all right. Since we got the handshaking and baby kissing out of the way, let's jump into it.
This is the part of the show. It's called the best SEC quarterbacks from the 2000-2024 seasons. It's kind of hard to go here. We could have went 2000s, 2009s. We could have been decades, but we figured just hit 24 years almost, just all in one. It's really a lot of great quarterbacks in these 24 years. A lot of them played in the same time frames. A lot of Ducks were in this quarterback classes. It was really hard. We spent hours talking about this. Just the five of us just talking about and arguing and bickering back and forth who really should be in there. And but like you said, this is our decisions. Like I said, if you don't like it, get your own.
Yeah.
We took the top 25 quarterbacks from the 2000.
Yes.
Took the top 25 quarterbacks from the 2024 seasons. Then we did a tournament style pick 'em to select the best players, and these were our results. Quarterbacks that received some of the votes were Dak Prescott, Eli Manning, Jackson Dart, A.J. McCarron, and Hendon Hooker. So
yeah, and let's not take away anything. All these guys are legends at their respective schools. I mean, all these guys won. I say all these. AJ, I think he had 2 or 3 titles at Alabama. Jackson Dart holds so many records as far as Eli and Hooker and Prescott. These are just people who didn't get enough votes to jump into the top 5 or the honorable mentions in that respect.
Yeah, and I mean, somebody like Eli Manning, who is he's a 3-year starter at Ole Miss from 2000 to 2003. Like some of the quarterbacks you'll see, threw for 10,119 yards, 81 touchdowns, and 35 interceptions, completing 61% of his passes. Just for our liking, yes, for the early 2000s, it's great numbers. But once we start getting in here, you'll see more notable awards and less throwing yards. Yeah. Dak Prescott had a pretty good career as well. AJ McCarron, 2 national championships. Jackson Dart, great numbers. Hendon Hooker, I really don't know much about. Really.
Yeah,
it seems like it really took off in with Tebow in 07 as far as the yardage.
Yeah,
and it just kept going from there.
And
Hooker started at Virginia Tech, and that's why I didn't know much about him. He's a 3-year starter at Virginia Tech.
2 seasons at Tennessee.
Last 2 seasons in Tennessee, threw for 6,000 yards.
Yep, showed up to show out.
Yeah, hurt.
58 touchdowns and 5 interceptions as well.
Yeah, besides 1 or 2 of these guys in list, Hooker is the more, I won't say relevant, but in the later seasons that we're going to look at here from this group.
Jackson
from this group.
Well, of course, Dart, yeah.
Jackson Dart. Kid played last year. He played like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But these guys right here, they received votes, just not enough to get them inside the honorable mention. Great numbers. They had nothing against the kids, but just not for our likings.
I want to add one thing to that. We did also have receiving votes was Ryan Mallett, Tua, and Jalen Hurts.
I'm upset that Ryan Mallett did not make it any further than he did.
You're upset that you don't have Bingo and Bluey on your shirt. You just have Bluey.
You say that, but then
see on my back.
Same spreadsheet. Oh my god! If you look at the same spreadsheet and look at the single season totals, he's not even on the list.
I know. I got his single season totals because I ranked him personally. I got him at 5th.
And he didn't average 275 yards a game in any season. So
no, he just led the SEC in passing touchdowns in 2009, 2010, and passing yards in 2009, 2010. Yeah, but that was the only 2 years he played inside the SEC because he transferred from Michigan.
So Major, I know you're a South Alabama alum. Who is your SEC alliance?
Alabama.
I'm sorry.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, roll tide.
Roll tide.
I think we went up 3-3 here. So
yeah, so I don't think it turned out so bad. So let's jump into the next phase and
one of my favorites. The honorable mention brought us 3 quarterbacks from pretty much 2 of them from the early era of the 2000s, and then 1 from the mid-pack. The 2 were Jared Lorenzen, the hefty lefty, Rex Grossman, and Aaron Murray.
Oh, I see I've done that one too.
Yeah. But these are the guys that just popped out right outside the top 5. Brandon, do you want to throw some numbers out for one of these guys?
Yeah. So Aaron Murray, I mean, obviously he still holds the SEC record for total passing yards. And I believe total yards altogether. I think he's got 13,562.
Yes, sir.
Total. And
passing touchdowns.
137 touchdowns. I mean, that's a lot of scoring, but he played a whole lot of ball. I mean, that's starting 52
games. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, out of that list, other than David Green, who's also a legend at Georgia, I mean, that's the only 2 that had that many games. So, obviously, he should have had that many yards.
Also, in his time at Georgia, Aaron Murray went 35 for 17 at a 67% winning percentage. So, not bad for him. Rex Grossman, in 35 games, went 61%, 9,164 yards, 77 touchdowns, 36 interceptions. Won the 2001 SEC Player of the Year, also was an All-American that year, and the 2001 Heisman runner-up all that year. And then Jared Lorenzen, the 285-pound quarterback, the hefty lefty, as he liked to call.
R.I.P.
He got my vote every single round.
Yeah.
Yes. But
he got the popularity vote. Let's just put it that way.
Me and Marty went at this for hours the other day. His number, he didn't do anything good. He had a 32% winning percentage in his college career. Kid went 14-29 in Kentucky. But
the crazy thing about him in the year 2000, which was statistically his best year, he threw more interceptions than he threw touchdowns.
He tied 24-24.
In the year 2000?
That's what I'm looking at right now.
Are you looking at games started or are you looking at games played?
I'm looking at 2000 stats altogether.
Okay.
That's what I had. But I'm pulling mine from sportsreference.com.
That's where I got them from.
Oh, look at there. But he 10,354 yards for a guy with a losing record. Still pretty good. Dude was a gunslinger. Didn't matter if you liked him or not. 285 pounds running at you, quarterback. I mean, I'm not stepping foot in it. Even the same weight as me.
Brandon, do you have his rushing stats? Because he actually had some rushing stats.
Year 2000, he was 140 yards for 12.7 yards a game, 5 touchdowns on top of that. But overall, he was where is he at on this? Let's see.
9, good number 9.
I think it's there. But I mean, for him to be that size and still be able to move like a refrigerator.
Yeah. I mean, he was another animal. Like,
yeah.
He was a defensive end playing quarterback. Let's be honest here.
Well, and the thing too,
almost offensive lineman playing quarterback.
Yeah, or nose tackle, whatever you want to throw out there. I mean, he was a big guy.
Well, the thing is, he's got more rushing yards than some of these other quarterbacks like Manning and Ryan Mallett.
He's got more than Mac Jones. He's got more than Bryce Young had.
Hendon Hooker? No.
My golly, Will Rogers had minus 316.
That means you're getting sacked a lot, by the way.
Here's one that'll actually shock you. He's got more than Drew Lock.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Drew is pretty mobile as well.
Yeah. He's got more in his best season than Drew Lock had in 2017.
Yeah, and like I said, this is our opinion, but we could have went so many different ways with this. Absolutely. I know me and Brandon talked extensively for the last 3 or 4 days of like game started or this, that, and the other, and not to say that we left him out, but I am going to mention it, Brandon. But Stetson Bennett,
absolutely,
for Georgia. I'm not saying he was overlooked by any means on this, but we got to it late. But he was really a dog at Georgia and really done a lot of good things in this. For his numbers, for being, like you said, the story being him being a walk-on and now having 2.
Not even that, him being on the team, leaving, going to junior college, coming back as a walk-on and saying, "I'll do it my way," and runs through, wins 2 national championships, and I mean, in 2022 went 15-0.
Dog mode. I was telling Marty, like when I was doing my individual lists, like I'm picking dogs. And that's why I had Jared Lorenzen, because like you're throwing 10,000 yards to what, 1-2-star receivers or something at that time at Kentucky. Like you're doing great, you know.
Right.
Same thing with Rex Grossman, the early 2000s Florida Gators, 9,000 total yards.
He did.
Or Grossman, excuse me, Rex Grossman. I was really shocked at his numbers when I looked it up in general, and then finding out that he really didn't have anybody on that Florida team.
No.
On Grossman, no. And that went into a lot of the conversation that we had. Who were they throwing to, especially when you get into the top 5 guys that we're going to look at? And what Cody had just looked, Stetson Bennett, he won the, what's it called?
The Burlsworth Award.
The Best Walk-On Award. So, I mean, there's...
Award.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, these guys have a lot of accolades. And maybe we didn't find them all, but I mean,
if you did your research on Sports Reference and you scroll down far enough, you did your research. It'll show you.
Yep. And I got into the statistics.
Yes, and I know you and Brandon are the stats guy. I'm just the graphics guy, and apparently can't even get them right. So,
well, and as me and Marty talked about it separately the other day, a couple of days ago. The way I personally myself voted on it was, I voted for the guy that I thought that I would start on Saturday in their prime no matter what.
Right.
If we had a game coming up next weekend, I voted for who I would start in the prime.
Right.
Is the way I did it.
Major, have you liked any of these choices so far that we've had?
Yeah, I think all the choices are good and they make a lot of sense. I was putting a little bit of thought into a couple of different things as I was looking at it, because it's not just the quarterback as you're looking at his stats. You were looking at receivers and who they had to throw to, as you've already mentioned. But also, I even looked at some of the running backs that they had, because, the more running you do, then that takes the pressure off the quarterback when he does drop back to throw a bomb to somebody or pass to somebody, because they're expecting to run and they're playing tight. So
if you got Derrick Henry back in the backfield,
that's exactly right. And Najee Harris, Derrick Henry, guys like that, if they're in the backfield, that's going to open up that passing game for you, and you're going to get some yards.
I think that's a lot of what hurt guys like Jason Campbell.
Yep,
Yeah.
I was just about to say.
That's my opinion on that.
I mean, and like we said, AJ McCarron had a good, his accolades were there.
Yeah,
and that was the thing. I wanted accolades and I wanted stats.
Yep.
And I wanted, I didn't want a lot of great people around them. I wanted to I was trying to find hidden gems pretty much, but it's kind of hard to find hidden gems. Yeah, that players that they're good, they were great, but wasn't really throwing to nobody good unless you get to the top two. I think, probably I think the top two might be the only ones that might have had somebody good throwing to them.
I'd say top.
Well, top five, yeah. Number 5, I know for sure.
Well,
I don't know.
People had plenty to throw to. Let's not,
Right.
I'm not going to, bust anything up for yet, but before we reveal it. But honestly, out of that group, there's a certain guy that didn't have what everybody else had. I'll just put it that way.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
If we're all talking about the same guy.
Yep.
And I'll say this too, like the way it kind of went in for voting for me was I'm like a film type guy. So like I remember like most of these guys playing, when I was a kid growing up, I always looked up to these guys as idols almost. And so that kind of played a lot into like looking up some film on some of these guys and seeing like how well they actually played, even though their stats may not show it, how did they carry themselves in times of trouble? So
Johnny Manziel, I think, has been one of the best.
And that was one of the reasons why he got.
I think so too. Yeah, he was so
Alabama game.
Yeah,
If you sit down, I saw him play in person. Like that kid is something. Like Marty knows how I feel about him, but I mean that's my guy. Like I'm riding with him no matter what.
Yeah.
Like if we're playing college football, I'm riding with Johnny Manziel. There's a reason they call him Johnny Football.
yeah. Well, that was kind of your mantra anyway, growing or.
Hey, chunk it up and see what happens, baby.
Yeah.
All right, Mario, let's get into this top 5 here.
All right.
I got a question real quick. Cody,
Go ahead.
I'm not going to bust your age out here, but what year did you graduate high school? Just for that way I've got a reference point.
That is not to be discussed on the podcast.
Has he not graduated yet?
Put it in the group chat.
I don't know if I can count that high, but I
Let me
graduated.
rephrase what I said. What year did you get your equivalency?
Yeah, graduation TBD.
I took that exam when I was 35 years old. No, I graduated in 2017.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
He's younger than I am.
He's a baby. All right.
Yep. He's
I
younger
think we've
than I
got a
am.
good range then of folks and ages here to look back at all this from different points of view. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
All
So,
right. So let's start. I don't remember who it was, but we'll jump into it.
Bryce Young. Your number 5 quarterback is Bryce Young at the University of Alabama. The accolades are there. The stats are there. So why would you say he got top 5? Somebody break it down for us.
Because somebody in the group's an Alabama fan. That's why.
No, I actually voted for Bryce. I did for McCarron as well. Now, and I think this goes back to one of the topics of having some of the best people around him as far as receivers, because you're not throwing
Devontae Smith, Jerry,
exactly. You're not throwing 8,000 yards with 2- and 3-star receivers.
No.
Well, and another thing you got to look at too, with Bryce Young. Bryce Young was a very underrated quarterback, in my opinion, nationally because of his size.
6'194".
Yeah, I mean he's still a fairly small quarterback in the NFL, but it's one of those things where when you look at his size and stature, but the numbers that he put up with the receivers around him, I mean, how was he able to really see over those offensive linemen without technically guessing? The kid had to have
half step, baby.
Yeah. Oh, it's with 80 touchdowns. I mean, less than 1,000 attempts. I mean, that just for me. And then on the other hand, to carry the ball. I mean, not a lot of yards. I mean, 7 touchdowns, and when your team needs it the most, I mean, the kid went on to win the Heisman, a national championship, where
A Maxwell and an All-American.
Where Georgia was really climbing up and going fist to fist for the best team in the SEC with this Alabama team. So I think everything's there. And on some of these collegiate awards, these are the ones I mostly found when I was doing research. But there's probably a few more that
he won. There's a laundry list. Todd, did he also get the Maxwell?
Yes, he got the Maxwell and the All-American and the Heisman all in 2021. I'm trying to find the full list right here.
That 21. So he started. All in all, he started. Let's see here. 27 games, went 23-4. But that 2021 season, which they lost 2 games, but that 2021 season, out of every quarterback that we ran stats on, that I ran stats on personally, he ended up with the 3rd most total yards in a season. So, I mean, you kind of can't deny that. I mean, he had the 2nd most passing yards of any quarterback on the list. I mean,
is it 4th down now?
It wasn't just the yards; it was how high his percentage was too.
Yeah, that was
65% is pretty. Was it 65%? Is that what I read?
66.
Yeah,
2021 it was 66.91.
Yeah. So 67%.
Yeah, and not to say that to take away, he was playing under Nick Saban, honorably the GOAT of all, then the great players around him. The kid's a really good learner, so he really incorporated that into his game. Touchdown, Bills.
Hey, podcast.
Side note. But no, like I said, with all things considered, I think Bryce deserves to be here. I mean, you could probably make a case for other people on some things, but for what he did in the time frame with the other teams really bashing it out, he deserves to be here.
Yeah, that whole I would say 2019 to 2023 era was really tough to single out a guy out of that group.
Yeah,
right.
Like if we did this per decade and went 2020 to present, it'd be. I mean.
Right. Yeah, and like I said earlier, this was the hard part. I kind of wanted to make it, a broad spectrum. We have a lot of people to go by, and that's why we kind of did it this way. Same thing with his next week. But this, the awards I got right here for him all came in the 2021 season. AP Player of the Year, All-American, Davey O'Brien Award, Heisman winner, Manning Award, Maxwell Award, and the Offensive Player of the Year inside the SEC. All was awarded to Bryce Young inside the year 2021.
Yeah, that 21 season was just unreal.
Yeah, that was. I don't say that was probably one of the best Alabama teams because I think Saban's 4th or 5th year with like Courtney Upshaw and them guys.
It's probably the best team not to win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
This on Bryce's team.
Yeah, they didn't win it that 21 year. They won it the year before in 2020.
Georgia won it.
Yeah, Georgia. That was their first year of the. Was that the first year of the back-to-back or the second?
That should have been the first year of the Stetson Bennett
First
show.
thing.
Yeah,
because Georgia won 21-22.
And then
national championship.
LSU went back. Yeah, no, LSU didn't. Never mind. I'll shut up.
Marty,
just talk what you got, baby. My man.
You know how many times I heard that when we used to watch games together?
Oh my goodness, this guy.
Number 4 on the list is the Texas A&M quarterback Johnny Manziel, or some people call him Johnny Football. Pay the man.
The nation himself.
Show the accolades.
So he ended up. I think he won everything there was to win in 2012. Did he not, Todd?
Pretty much the same thing. AP Player of the Year, All-American, Davey O'Brien, Heisman winner, Manning Award, SEC Player of the Year. Everything except for pretty much the same thing as Bryce Young won in 20. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, he's the only guy out of the top 5 that I believe that didn't have a natty. And I think that could be something. Now, he did have, who's the receiver?
He didn't have an SEC championship.
Mike Evans.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all he had.
Not. Yeah, he only had a Heisman. That was it.
Yeah, because he went to 2 bowl games. I know the Outback Bowl, I think, was his last one, and they beat the Stew out of West Virginia or somebody like that.
Yeah.
Well, he only played in 2 years at Texas A&M. And if you watch his documentary, you know why.
That's such a good one.
I mean, so he was the only one, in my opinion, that out of the when I looked at the best quarterback of the year in the SEC, that had 2 years worthy of putting on the list.
Right. And first true freshman to win a Heisman Award. So
But that 2012 year, I mean, 5,116 total yards. I mean, there's only one guy that's outdone that. And he didn't do it on the ground. But
So
I mean,
let me pose this question to the group here, because for me, I'm gonna be honest. Johnny Manziel was not exactly one of my picks, and it may be just because I'm not a stats guy, I'm not a numbers guy. You know, whatever the case may be. I just like to watch football. There were times for me, especially once Johnny got into conference play, got into got past cupcake weeks or whatever, that it was kind of hard to watch him play. It was not necessarily like he was struggling, but like there was something missing. I don't know if maybe it was alcohol poisoning or whatever.
that was not.
No,
But it seemed like there was a lot of the time where he was not fluid in some of his stuff. Now I'm not saying he didn't make the play or whatever, but it just seemed like it was real hard for him to get any fluidity in his game. I mean, and me being in the business that I'm in during my normal job, one thing that we're taught is that numbers don't lie. And his numbers are there. I mean, they're evident and they're stone cold numbers. But me personally, I'm kind of glad that he went to the Canadian Football League, because I think I'd rather sit in a funeral home as I had watch him play football.
Well,
I'll be the first one to say he is not an NFL quarterback. Like, it never was going to be.
No.
He didn't have the maturity. He didn't have the right people around him. There was a whole laundry list. He was 5'10". He listed him 6'1". He was 5'10". Come on.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a whole list of things of why he was not going to succeed in the NFL, and a lot of it was mental for him.
Yes.
And I think a lot of what you saw, Judd, was mostly coaching. I think that he was not, because he was the kind of player that, I mean, if you watched it, it was backyard football. I mean,
yeah, that's all it was.
He went out there and just made it happen. It wasn't, he was just scrambling for his life. Just go watch the Alabama game. I mean,
that's evidence enough, right?
Yeah, that one game was just, and that was the one where the world really noticed him.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
and he only threw for 253 yards that game. But in the Arkansas game, his first or second SEC game, he threw for 453.
But when he went to Auburn, and Auburn ended up winning the ball game.
The second year, yeah.
The second year, I mean, he ran for his life that whole ball game, and that's what it caused late. I think that last drive they put together, he was in the red zone trying to score, and he had more rushing yards on that play trying to scramble out. Yes, Auburn had a hellacious defense. I think that was Davis and them guys on that line. But still, I mean, that was like Brandon was talking about, the backyard football in him.
Well,
he still threw for 454 yards that game.
True.
If you go back and look, the team that he had, like we said, key players around him, he only had Mike Evans.
Yeah.
But
Mike Evans was a stud. Now
he was
receiver list. He's gonna be up there.
Now, I'm not taking anything away from Mike Evans.
Oh, no.
What I was gonna say is the people he didn't have around him that people really don't look at too much is his offensive line. That's why he scrambled so much, is because
he had Luke Jokel, though. Luke Jokel was a top 5 pick.
Yeah, but you got 1 out of 4 or 5 linemen.
He was still, I made strong side,
Did you watch Alabama play at all this year?
I mean,
guys, for me, the deal with Manziel was you do have to recognize all his accomplishments. But the reason I didn't like him as a player was because of his on-field antics and the way that he acted. We see so many good quarterbacks in the SEC that are, you kind of think, okay, they really got it together as far as a personality and how they treat people, on the sidelines and things like that. And Manziel just wasn't. He was kind of an anti-hero. He just wasn't that kind of guy.
Yeah, that's very
Exactly right.
responsible. That's one thing when me and Brittany were kind of talking about. She said she didn't like him because of the same fact. But I mean, and I get to that because now he was one of the first cases of the pretty boy kind of. Well, what was I guess an NFL couple a long time ago, Major McMahon that played for the Bears.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jim McMahon.
Jim McMahon.
Yeah, that wore the headband. He was like that, and I don't. And like a Dion style, I don't like that boy spoiled this, that, and the other. You know, do your job. Now you can do your job to get paid in college, but I know that's one of Brandon's favorite aspects because I mean he liked the money ball as far as Manziel, and we didn't know at the time that all the heck that he was going through mentally, and some of his best games, he even said he was drunk at 2 and 3 a.m. in the morning.
But and add that to the stat pile. How many of these players came in at 3 o'clock in the morning, hammered, and then rolled out and did this?
Yeah, and I think that the biggest one I think was either the Alabama or the Tennessee game. That
the Alabama game. He talked about it after, way after he had gotten out of the NFL.
And just to think, even Brandon and I said this. That's the biggest what if with this Johnny, and Johnny Manziel will always be a what if. If he had his nose to the ground and his head out of the clouds. You know, he could have probably been the number one on this list. I mean, yes, they were throwing money at him because they offered him so much money to go other places, and this was before NIL. And he even talked about, you know, how much money that Texas A&M was going to pay him or that he was getting from other SEC schools. But it is a testament for what he did and the mind frame of stuff that he did. So definitely deserves to be here as well.
Man, I think he could have.
Daddy had oil money, remember?
Yeah, he had oil money.
What he said. I think he could have won at least 3 Heismans if he would have got his nose clean. Would have been the first ever. Well, his nose was pretty clean, you know. Had that South Alabama snow.
He didn't have sinusitis, but you know what I mean?
He didn't have that, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, he could have been a number 1 overall pick. Probably still would have went to the Browns. But 3 Heismans under his belt, you know. Right. Yeah.
So
what could have been?
The biggest what if for John, even I don't say that we're talking out of conference, but like Vince Young, you know, he was so good in college, then turned out he can't even read good when he gets to the NFL and stuff like that.
My name is Vince. How are you today?
When you got left and right taped on your hand.
It's like we talked about, though, like his style of play was a lot like, if you really think about it, like Vince's, that backyard football, figure it out. Yeah. And that does not translate to the NFL. It's never going to.
No. And now it did with a few. Now, I believe Donovan McNabb.
Wow. Try that again.
Yeah, I know, right.
Donovan?
Yeah, him, Steve McNair. They really could do that. But, I think Manziel was such in a bad place in his life. But,
really, I mean,
what he done was really stellar.
Yeah, and to add to what Major said and what Jud agreed with there, you know, he was that first, I think, player that came to the SEC and really had that brash attitude and said, hey, you know what, I'm good. I know I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll do what I want.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people didn't like him. That's exactly why a lot of people didn't like him.
It was more in the NFL. He was just drunk in college.
But let's head on down to number 3. Who cracked our top 3? And that is the quarterback from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Marty,
take this one.
I mean, I did what he done and what his
2 years.
The 2 years. Now he did have 2 years at Ohio State, but he didn't have a whole lot of snaps, and that's the reason he transferred into the SEC. Really, I mean, won everything he possibly could. Like I said, I counted up to 14. There's probably more.
I'm counting 10 awards right here. But
right.
Go ahead.
So, I mean, just for him to come in, yes, he did have some key players around him, but he carried Ed Ogeron to the championship and won it. This kid was he was told early in high school that he wasn't good enough for programs to come seek him out, and I think that was one of his coaches told him that in high school or something around that story. And the kid really put the John Cena on him. I mean, in 2 years he racked up 78 touchdowns through the air, 13 on the ground. You know, and for 2 years only had 11 interceptions, and throwing for close to 9,000 yards in 2 seasons. So one of the best, if not probably the best in some people's mind, especially if you're a Louisiana fan.
Look, let me tell you right now. I watched this kid play against Jalen Hurts when LSU played Oklahoma in the semifinals in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Okay. And I'm just going to tell you right now, Joe Burrow is somebody that you would have loved to have watched live. I mean, watch play in person. He was so calm and poised in the pocket. I mean, made all the right decisions. I mean, you talk about, like, in my opinion, I know he's in the top 3, but probably in our top 5, the most underrated quarterback in the top 5. Joe Burrow was a phenomenal player.
I would agree with you.
He made to LSU was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I'd agree with you there because I didn't vote for Joe Burrow because 2 seasons out of place. Well, that too. But 2 years out of place. Grant, 2009, his best year. 10 awards, AP Player of the Year, All-American, unanimous, Davey O'Brien, Heisman, Johnny Unitas Golden Arm, Maxwell Manning Award, the Offensive Player of the Year of the SEC, the Vince Lombardi Award, and the Walter Camp Player of the Year Award, all in the 2019 season. Very decorated that year.
Well, let's not joke about it. That 2019 SEC, the 2019 LSU team, was something
Jamar
else.
Chase, Jay Jettis,
I mean,
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, they had it.
They're not in your at least top 3 to 5 best teams to ever play the game. You're looking
There's
at
something wrong. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That team should have won like a lot more, but they only played 15 games.
I'm not saying
won more than that.
Miami, but
right, that 2001 Miami team, but that's a whole different conversation for a whole different podcast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
But,
that was coming.
But I mean, I didn't like this pick of Joe. I figured more Joe Burrow would be more of like an honorable mention type. I didn't think he would get inside the top 5, much less top 3. But it is what it is. Great numbers, like Marty said earlier. Excuse me. At career at LSU, 8,565 yards, 76 touchdowns, along with 11 interceptions, and on the ground, 12 touchdowns, 767 yards. Yeah, go ahead.
So for me, and I honestly, I voted before I really put together a whole lot of stats. I mean, I knew he was good, but like I said, I told you how I voted. His stats, they're unmatched. It doesn't matter who you stack up against him. I don't care who it is. In 2019, that is statistically the best season the SEC's ever been played. Yeah. And it's going to be hard to beat. He had 6,039 total yards, 402 yards a game that he was responsible for. 65 touchdowns in one season. Nobody else is even close.
Oh, no, not at all.
I mean, and it's not like, he played an extra game. It's not like, it was something else outside of that. He played 15, and I'm looking at, 8 other guys on that list that played 15 games?
Right.
And they're nowhere near it. But, and not only that, 76.3% completion rating in 2019.
More than 3
Which
out
is absurd.
Yeah.
His touchdown to interception ratio was 10-1.
Yeah, that's when you was telling me that stat is crazy.
Call me gunslinger because I'm throwing this thing.
That's not the best.
All right.
I voted for Joe 1,000%, and Brandon, I totally concur with your assessment on his stats and whatnot. And I think the only reason that Joe just cracked the top 3 and didn't make it to number 1 is he was smoking the wrong brand of cigar.
Well, I like that. Just like Brandon again with the way he matched up his numbers, or and to only do it in 2 years, like you said, it took Tebow to do it in 4 years and Cam in 1. As far as we look at other things, but another thing that really didn't go into this, but what Joe Burrow meant to the state of Louisiana.
Right.
I thought, that's just.
I love LSU football, and I love Joe Burrow.
Go Tigers. Go Tigers. But to me, the last home game when he come out with the with Burrow spelled the Louisiana. Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I know it don't have much to do with this, but if that means so much to you, that's the kind of player. And see, and I know if Manziel would have been that way, if he would have been the straight edge kind of guy like Burrow was, the what if comes back into play. But when a player means so much to a university, a fan base, like Cam did at Auburn, Tebow did, Jalen, even the guys from Alabama, the Jalen Hurtses and the Mark Ingram guys that mean everything and put so much back into their city. I know it has nothing to do with numbers, but them are the players that I want to see do good things and stuff like that.
I think the thing, like you're talking about, kind of comparing him to Manziel as far as that goes. First off, Manziel could not have operated not under the influence. He just didn't have the nerve to do it. He showed that once he got later on.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But Joe Burrow, that man is the most calculated quarterback I've ever seen put together. Just he knows what he's doing. He knows what he wants to do, and he's going to do it, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, the passion that he played with,
absolutely,
in close games where he wants the ball, he wants to be that playmaker, and he never stuttered from that. So again, as each of these guys definitely deserve to be here, maybe even higher in some regard,
and knew who his playmakers were.
Yes, yeah, very very good to not just to have one or two, but he know that tight end is going to be there on that third and fourth play or whatever.
Jamar down the sideline.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got with that case, Jamar is probably one of the best wide receivers to put a.
Let's crack the top two right here, Marty.
Right, so before we jump into that, I'm conflicted with this as far as the top two, as how it goes. But we'll get into more of that once we get there. But number two, the Florida Gator, Chomp Nation, Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow is the number 2 quarterback. Oh, what's going on here?
What'd you do?
Uh-oh.
Todd gone.
Where'd he go?
Uh-oh. Anyway, as far as Tim Tebow, yes, one of my all-time favorite quarterbacks. If not, I could say I would like him to be number 1 in this. But in the voting, didn't work out. The only 2-time champion that we have in our list, or that has been in the SEC, besides McCarron, still had 2. Heisman winner, multiple awards. I counted 12 or 13.
Yeah, I ran out of room on that.
I did, and
so I got 8 on my screen.
And he was one of them guys that Florida, he lived and breathed orange and blue. Like the speech that he gave, it's even on a plaque down there. And I've got to tour the stadium to it, which is really cool. My opinion, he should be number 1.
I had him at 1 as well. Just because the longevity he played here, multiple championships he won here, the yards, everything, the touchdowns. I had him at number 1 in my personal board. 2007 AP Player of the Year, 2007 Consensus All-American, 2007 Davey O'Brien, 2007 Heisman, 2007 Maxwell, 2008 Maxwell, 2008 Manning, and 2008 SEC Player of the Year. Along with probably won some MVPs in bowl games. I don't have that here.
Yeah, that's where I just got totally rabbit hole. And I knew it took me 2 or 3 sides to put all his accomplishments.
But I'm not saying the way we did voting was correct.
Yes.
So we did it. We did this pretty much. But and our personal boards was different. But like I said, I had Tebow personally 1 just because, like I said, his longevity from 06 to 09. And his level of play, I have a number. Where's it at? Tebow
he's one of the only quarterbacks that had 4 years.
35-6 at his time in the Swamp, and that's 86% winning percentage.
Yeah, and let's time out. That first year, he did not start all those games.
Right. No.
So he did he did this in about 3.2 years.
Yeah.
If you really want to break it down by play.
Yeah.
And if you want to do a comparison real quick, you remember what we said earlier about Manziel, about how he was kind of the anti-hero and people didn't like him on a personal level? Tebow was just the opposite. Tebow was the guy who came out and everybody respected him for taking the team on his shoulders or on his back and carrying the team. He was
the quarterback for the people.
He took responsibility. When they lost, he said, "It was my fault. I did that. I'll fix it." So you got to respect that.
Yes. Oh, most definitely.
And I'll go ahead and say it right now. As far as people go, he's the best person on this list by far.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think I've said this before is one the game they lost, I think it's Alabama in the SEC championship, where he had John 3:16 on his face. And
Right.
I think it was 16, 17 million people Googled that after or in the considering weeks after the ball game. So what a great guy he is for God, and he has always stood on business on that, and that's one thing. I've read his book, was amazing. It was really good. I think this is the guy I would want on Saturday.
Yep. I mean, he lived it. He walked it. I mean, there's no ifs and or buts about him. But statistically, he's
He done that too.
Career,
Yeah.
He ended up in the SEC number 2 in total yards with 12,232 total yards. He has the most touchdowns in the SEC at 145. I mean,
And I'll say this: one of my favorite Tebow moments. This was kind of since I think it was Jud decided to bring it out about my age. This was one of my favorite moments as a kid. It was the 2008 what they call the paint game when Florida played Florida State.
Time out. Do you remember that, or did you remember hearing about it?
I actually remember that because that's when I started Pee Wee football.
Okay. Oh my God.
So little baby.
So you missed the 90s altogether.
I was only born 3 years of it.
What's up, Hollywood? Glad you're watching with us, buddy.
So, but yeah, like the paint game was one of my favorites because I think that game was like an extremely close game, and right there close to the end, Tebow's in the huddle, fired up, and like his white uniform is just covered in Seminole red. And I mean, that's the guy, that not only stat wise, but like Marty said, standing on faith, but also tremendous leader.
Yeah,
like his stats outweigh what numbers he put up. It's stats from being a leader to being a faithful person to doing all the right things.
Well, and the crazy part, just you speaking on the faith thing, you got to look at all the hooligans he had on this team.
I was about to get to that at some point.
The Pouncey brothers, Aaron Hernandez.
Some of those kids were studs.
Oh yeah, most definitely. They also killed people and beat their wives. But that's beside the
Yeah.
point.
Riley Cooper,
Yeah.
Wesley Harvin.
Marty calls them hooligans. The rest of the world calls them felons.
Yeah. You had Hard R. Riley. That was a wild time.
Yeah.
But, and I didn't think they did it total justice on the 30 for 30. I loved it, and I'm a true crime guy, and we like watching the Aaron Hernandez stuff, and it's been really good. I'm a tragic story with him and everybody involved, but for him to stand on his faith, and whether it happened or not that he was, they called him Chico, was his friend and tried to lead him to his Savior, which is, what a leader does. Whatever you believe in, if you stand on business every game, promote your faith like that, will always have my vote. And not just on the field, off the field. I love what he's continuing to do, and stuff like that. So
that's just respect as a man, though.
Yes, that is would
that's
come
all
with
that is.
it. Yes, most definitely.
Let's we pretty
so-
much know who number
We're
one
going to
is.
have a real big what if come up right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The number one quarterback from 2000 to 2024, as voted on as the Under Review Podcast creative team, is the quarterback from the Auburn University, Cameron Newton.
Tigers.
Today,
Today.
Todd got emotional.
somebody was tickling you was a baby. What happened?
Hands.
He slapped the pavement off the truck.
Let's just say one year, what a year it was. Not having the best coach, not having a lot of targets to throw to, which kind of makes all these numbers just that much more impressive to some people. If you don't know of Auburn, that don't follow it, unlike me and Marty who know more, and Jud that know about this team and didn't really have any studs unless you're looking on the defensive side of the ball. Cody must have farted because he's waving one. But if you look at that Auburn team, they
If
didn't.
anybody in that picture did that, you know exactly who it was.
But Cam Newton, Nick Fairley was pretty much the two studs on
Yeah.
opposite sides of the ball. So, I mean, for what Cam did with these numbers was pretty impressive in my opinion.
Let's talk about this real quick, though. The what if. Let's just throw it out there. First off, what kind of person you got to be for Urban Meyer to kick you off his team?
Well, this is true.
I just want to ask the question.
Well, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
Well, dealing with all the problems that Urban Meyer had, no wonder he had a heart attack and retired.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking when we was talking about Hernandez.
Yeah. But no, and the thing that's the most impressive, like me and Cody was whispering over here, most of these guys only did it in 2 and 3 and 4 years. Tebow's the only guy that had the first full 4-year college experience, but
Cam did it in one.
Yes, Cam did it after leaving Florida, then winning a college title at Blinn College, and then,
At Auburn.
Who?
Blinn College.
Is that behind high school?
No, they're in
In
Atlanta.
Texas.
I think they're
Texas.
Texas. Yeah, they were black and blue. But no, this watching every snap that Cam played, he was, like I said, he didn't have great talent around team. Lutzenkirchen was on that team. Terrell Zachary.
Darvin Adams. Emory Blake.
I used to hate Lutzenkirchen because he would catch anything near an Alabama player. It didn't matter.
Oh, that's he is probably my all-time favorite player. Yes, Cam's one of my favorites, but I've got Lutzenkirchen autographs and just really what his dad is doing now that if you don't know, his dad is going around speaking because the way Lutzenkirchen passed away was in a fatal DUI,
wasn't it?
DUI or something similar to that.
It was a DUI.
He was hit by a DUI driver.
No, sir.
He was drinking.
Yeah, him and his buddy were drinking.
Oh,
I did not know that.
I didn't either.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now what his dad does is they have the Todd's Got Keys and stuff as well. The 43 Foundation is they go around talking to these college campuses and stuff about decision making and stuff like that. I think Coach Eden ran into his dad at Buffalo Wild Wings one day, and he gave him some stuff. And I think I've always tried to get up one of them keys, and it helps for that, which is good. Kids need that because, Lutzenkirchen, he played 2 years with the Rams. One was, I don't think he had but a handful of starts or
he didn't have a lot of stuff.
Right, but beside that, it's what, because yes, Lutzenkirchen lost his life, but the change that his dad and his family are doing is really great. But beside the point, who was that backfield, Todd, for Auburn?
That backfield, I ain't got to look it up. We're looking at Mario Fannin. We're talking about Ontario McCaleb. We're talking about Michael Dyer, who had the big run in the national championship game. A couple of other wide receivers, Trevon Reed, Quindarius Carr. A lot of no-name, a lot of players. Like I said, if you're not an Auburn faithful, you're not going to recognize any of these names. Like, I'm spitting names at you, and you're meatballs because you're lost in the sauce. So
best offensive line units you could ever have.
Oh, yeah.
honestly.
Brandon Mosley, Lee Zimba, Ryan Pugh.
Chad Slade, yeah.
He was in 2010.
He was there in 2010.
Chad Slade was 2012.
Oh, yeah, I forgot him and Brittany.
Go, Brittany.
BSF.
Go, Brittany. Go, Brittany.
Yeah, they graduated together.
Did he have Dismukes at center? Who did he have?
We had Ryan Pugh.
Okay.
Oh, don't get me started.
Ryan Pugh has the worst attitude as anybody that I've ever met on side of an Auburn campus.
Oh, that was awful, and I still don't like. That's beside the point. What Cam done for his, all in 1 year, 14-0, has the best winning percentage of anybody.
100%.
100%. Cam was a tank with the ball. I mean, the play against LSU that I think really sold his Heisman was that 46 run where he flipped, dodged everybody out of the way. Just
dodged, ducked, dipped, dived, and dodged.
Yeah. No, he was in high school in 2010. Chad Slade, because they got that over Brittany.
Well, something else that I was goofing off before we got on the podcast, just kind of looking at some stats and things. And one of the things that I did not know, now I did not get to, 1,000% fact check all of this or find out, where exactly he did it, whether it was, all at Auburn or what the deal was, but he is one of 8 players in FBS history to, I think it was 20 touchdowns on pass, run, and receive or something like that.
20 touchdowns on the ground and 30 in the air.
Yeah,
Yep.
the
So
2030
yeah,
club.
he was one of 8 people in FBS history to do that.
They did that at Auburn, by the way.
And even though we are strictly talking SEC, he even paid that forward when he got into the NFL, because he was, as far as I know, the only rookie to do 4,000 yards in a season.
Yeah, the first 3 years were Cam's best. They went to the Super Bowl, lost to the Broncos. He won Player of the Year. I think he had 2 NFC titles at Carolina. Really set, I think it was 7 or 8 NFL records right there in his first year alone. But I mean, just Cam did it for Auburn. Cam was Auburn's savior. Yes,
Yep.
He was that guy. I mean, there was nobody else that year that even come close to him.
I mean, look at the year before and the year after. I mean, it was
Exactly, yeah.
It wasn't even. It's not a question.
No.
I mean, he was that much of a game changer.
Was that
But
Brandon?
he was the first. He was the first player really in the SEC to come along and have that type of passer rating too. Like,
Yeah. So I mean, the good guys.
180, like it's.
There we go.
Who scored?
Yeah, for me, Cam's always been now. His stuff he does now, it's a little out there for him. He dresses like some kind of hippie.
Flamingo.
Oh yeah, a flamingo. But no, he's still one of the guys. He gives back. He tries to give back a certain way, but that's beside the point. He definitely is 1 or 2 right here, and I think it does edge it out that Brandon pointed out. He done this all in 1 year. Undefeated. Yes, he had close games against Clemson. The Alabama comeback was probably one of the greatest in the Iron Bowl.
I was about to say the comeback is what Auburn calls it. It was probably one of the greatest games in rivalry history, in my opinion.
If you wasn't sitting in the stands at the kick 6.
Well, yeah.
So
I was on the floor crying.
I know, but I was in the stadium crying. So,
but I mean, the reason I say the comeback was one of the greatest in my opinion versus the kick 6 is because they came back and it was 27 unanswered points.
Yep.
27.
Started with a bomb to Tyrell Zachary.
I mean, what other team do you know that could do that?
I mean, that's and Auburn, that was the perfect.
Tyrell Zachary that played for
Wadley.
Yes.
Wadley, yeah.
I already knew he was going. Yes.
Auburn.
So Major,
yeah.
Major, how do you feel about how we got to our conclusion and whatnot?
Well, I think it's great. I think you guys supported it very well by doing your research, which always gives you a lot more credibility when you've researched it as well as you have, and you've got everything down the way that you do. It makes it a lot more convincing when you're picking these players the way that you've chosen them. So I think that's a feather in your cap for doing that. Todd, you're the Auburn guy, right?
Yeah, there's like 3 of us here. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm trying to figure out how Nick Marshall got Auburn to the SEC championship in 2013.
Saved by
The
Jesus.
player at Jordan Hare.
Jesus. Prayer at Jordan Hare and the miracle and it was the miracle and it was the kick 6. That's
Kick
the only
6.
reason we got there.
Yeah, I don't know. In that national championship,
That was a heartbreaker because we was down in Auburn to watch that one.
Knox
I
man's
remember
getting
you rubbed it in.
Yeah, that was and that's why I still don't like Jamin Wilson, that crab stealing sapsucker.
Marty, if we could hurry this a little on, I have an angry son in the background that is ready for bed.
That's about it for our list. Like I said, guys, this is our opinions, and I mean, I still like Tebow at number 1, but that's beside the point. We did a lot of research, a lot of information for y'all to enjoy.
And if y'all don't believe us, there it is.
The proof is in the pudding.
Kind of.
But then I want to, what a pleasure it's been for Major being on with us. Man, love to have you back. That was super fun, just having another kind of outside perspective. We know, as much as I've talked to Brandon, how you enjoy football, so it's good to have another set of ears.
But as we get into that, we're wrapping it up and everything, but we're not going to forget about our best all-time SEC logo tournament that we are starting here at the Under Review podcast. Major, so what we're doing, we're going through every SEC team, and we're trying to figure out what their best logo is, voted on by our fans on Facebook and etc. And then we're going to put them, once we get all 16 teams, we're going to put them in a bracket and let them vote on who has the best all-time logo that they voted on.
Touchdown, yes. Sorry.
Anyways, podcast. This was our chances for Oklahoma. Not really a bunch to go off of here. But I don't know.
Shame.
Why is there a cat there?
I put the cat there because this is shocking.
I was so confused. I wasn't gonna lie.
The cat says, "Y'all don't be making fun of my logo, meow."
But no, I really was shocked here because I would have swore that the original, the Boomer Sooner wagon would the retro that I love. I thought it would win out. This is why the shocked cat is on.
It was by 2 points. Let me be real. Out of all the data that I pulled, it was by 2 points.
Wow, that OG logo they've got.
Yeah, that Sooner wagon.
If it had been on its side, it would have won.
Yeah, I agree with that one. But let's get into these last two. That we have two for you this week. As if you know, somebody already leaked it on the interwebs. But we have Ole Miss going this week. My favorite, obviously, is that 1970 with the Rebel. And then the three variants of Ole Miss, kind of not phasing anything right there. It's kind of why we did two this week, because this one and another one are the same. But Ole Miss hasn't changed much since 2002, just different color variations.
Right.
But
and like I said, we talked on Facebook with the Land Sharks, the Bears, and all that.
They can't pick a mascot.
yeah,
Right.
that's why they go with name.
Just real quick, since we're on Ole Miss, I know we got a few minutes. 1972. Can anybody tell me who sported the Confederate flag on their helmet?
That'd be the Buckeyes. I don't know.
Georgia.
Close.
I'm gonna be somebody stupid
The
like
Florida
Alabama.
Gators.
Oh,
Yeah, the state flag.
I know. Actually, I've looked it up. If you get a chance to look it up, it's kind of interesting. But I don't think it was a state flag. I think it was. Well, it might have been, but they did have the rebel flag, or however you want to call it. And I thought that was crazy. That you would get double canceled for shenanigans like that now.
Of course.
well, and then we have Cocky going on here from 1961 to now. From 75 to now, pretty much the same logo, just different color variations. I don't know what they were smoking in the 60s.
Hey, that's 6 to 75 logo.
But it's pretty fire, let's be real.
Looks a whole lot like a university I attended.
Yeah.
I was about to ask you and Jud, what's the similarities there, and which one do you like better?
So that's 6 to 75 is similar to one that Jacksonville had at one point in time.
Yes.
I want to say, what, the early 90s, Jud? Was that correct?
Yes.
80s, early 90s?
Yeah, it was all the way through the late 90s when I was there.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, they'd already transitioned to the letters by the time I was there, so.
Yes.
Yeah, that 1961 looks like them fighting chickens old Big R used to have on the hill.
Yeah, they Jacksonville
money
transferred over to the Jacksonville transferred over to the letters because they didn't particularly care about some of the cheers that you can come up with when you're using the term Gamecock.
I will never forget when we beat Ole Miss and we came back and hung a banner on fraternity house that said, "You can't beat our Cock."
Horrible. Yeah, that was horrible. I was sitting at home watching that in Ragland, and me and Hope drove 45 minutes to go roll the square, and I wasn't even in school then.
I was there in person. It was amazing.
See, just like the kick six, it was amazing.
So, Major, after seeing all these, if you had a vote, who would you vote for right here?
Who are we talking to?
Major?
Oh, for on the logos?
Yeah, both of them. Ole Miss and South Carolina.
For Ole Miss, I do miss the Rebel. I don't like all this DEI and all this latest thing where you got to change something just because somebody might be offended. And that I know that school. I like the old school stuff, but then I'm the oldest guy here, so I would have gone with the 70 to 2002 logo on Ole Miss. And I think I like the 75 to the 2008 on the
South Carolina.
Seahawks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little brighter, little brighter, real black it is. A little not as dark as it is on the 2008 to now it is. But we
need to ask Darius Rucker.
Yeah, we already.
That's right.
If we can get Hootie on the phone, we'll get him on the phone right now. But I want to thank everybody for joining us in this probably extra long episode. But there's 6 of us, so we got a lot to talk about. But as we jump into everything, everybody on YouTube that is watching, thank you for once again joining us. Remember to smash that like button, smash that comment button, subscribe, share it with your friends, do everything, like and subscribe, and we'll see y'all next time.